Today's lesson is on water. Our objectives for this lesson is to identify the many places on Earth where water can be found, and also to be able to identify the different forms or states of water and where on Earth these states can be observed. Our essential questions for today are, is there more land or water on Earth? Also, what is the difference in the locations in which solid and liquid water are found? We have a variety of ways that we are going to discuss the difference between solid and liquid water, as well as the many places on Earth that water is found. First, it is important to consider that water makes up most of our Earth. 71% of our Earth is made up of water, with only a remaining 29% of land. This water can be in places such as oceans, lakes, rivers, groundwater. A lot of our water is trapped in glaciers and ice caps, which we will talk more about later, what trapped means. Also in permafrost and even in water vapor, which is in the air. A breakdown of what that 71% of our water looks like is shown here. 96% of our water is in oceans in the form of salt water, which cannot be used by living things in order to survive. We need fresh water to survive. The fresh water only makes up 2.5% of our Earth's water. Groundwater makes up 30% of that. Glaciers and ice caps make up the majority, which is 68%. And like I said before, that water is trapped in those glaciers and ice caps. And then other surface water makes up 1.2%. Why is this water trapped? What does trapped mean? Water is trapped whenever it is in its frozen state of ice. Many misconceptions that students have when thinking about water is that ice is not water at all. It's only ice. But as you see, if we take a piece of our ice and put it into the liquid form of water, given time, that ice will dissolve and go into its liquid state. In just observing the different states of water, liquid water feels different than solid water, ice does. And this cannot be easily accessible to be able to be consumed by living things. Most living things consume the liquid form of water. What's the difference between our solid state of water and our liquid state of water? Temperature. This is why we see such a big difference in where these different states of water are found. We have our glaciers and our ice caps, the 68% of water that is trapped. Those are in places such as Antarctica or Alaska, places that the temperature is below freezing. If you'll walk with me, we'll see water vapor, which is when the water is superheated and goes into its air vapor form, which is part of where our fresh water goes. The liquid water is heated up so that it turns into air vapor. But if you see on my watch screen, the water condenses and returns back to its liquid state. So, why is this all important? Water is essential in order for us to survive. As I stated before, we need fresh water to survive. We drink fresh water, we take baths in water, and things like that. So, misconceptions, as I stated before, is that water is not actually everywhere. It only exists in oceans, lakes, rivers, and in the faucet at home. Students have a difficult time understanding that this is water and water vapor is water and not just what we take baths with or brush our teeth with. Another misconception that students have is that the only state of water is liquid water, which is also untrue. Ice and water vapor is just as much water as is liquid water. And if I were to measure out a cup of ice and a cup of liquid water, it would be the same amount of matter. It's just in different forms. So, our objectives were to identify the many places on Earth in which water is found, and also the different states in which it can be found. As we've discussed, water can be found all over the earth, trapped in ice caps or groundwater. These are places that many people don't think of whenever they think of where water is found. Also, water can be found in different states depending on the temperature of the climate that water is at. Here in Florida, most if not all of our water found outside is going to be in the liquid, if not water vapor form, because of the high heat. But if we were to go farther north, up into Antarctica, then we would see the big glaciers in which the water is trapped. Thank you for listening to my lesson today, and I hope that we were able to meet our objectives and clear up misconceptions about water. Thank you. Also, one more thing that I forgot to mention is a great technology extension for students is to allow them to get onto computers, or for you guys to get onto computers and to research different locations in the world in which water can be found. You're also going to need to write a description of this place, where you found it on the internet, and also if the water is liquid or solid in that place, and why you think that the water is solid or why you think that it's liquid. And then you can put it onto a poster board, and that can be the assessment for this lesson. So thank you for listening, and I hope this solves any misconceptions that you guys had about water. Bye!